I kind of have to wonder whether this legislation would give the EPA more power to ensure strong national standards that protect human health are enforced if these depositories were closer to more affluent communities. Perhaps it is that some of you have not had the experience that some of us have. I live in Fort Lauderdale, really Miramar, but lived in Fort Lauderdale when I moved there 50 years ago. Every incinerator, every dump, every treatment facility of human waste was in some portion of the black community in Fort Lauderdale. My law partner and I filed lawsuit after lawsuit with reference to them. One of them on Wingate Road, and this isn't coal ash. This is just plain, and I might add, let me compliment Florida Power and Light, who last week destroyed 2 of their coal ash facilities in Fort Lauderdale. They're to be complimented, in my judgment, for being forward-leaning. But at the very same time, you would have to know that it's awfully hurtful to find that in most of the communities where these Superfunds, in those days, brown fields, they were brown fields because there were brown people living close to them in addition to the hazardous waste that had been dumped into their communities. We've done study after study after study about the Wingate facility. And what we have learned is the incidence of cancer, particularly in women and men with prostate cancer, is higher in a 2 square mile radius around that facility than anywhere else in Broward County, Florida. Many of the people that died in the last 30 years because of that facility were dear, dear friends of mine. Many of them helped me start my career. And I find it strange that we come to this particular position that we're in with something that ain't going nowhere. And you all know it. You've done it 4 times already. The 5th is not going to be the charm with the United States Senate. Maybe if you win the United States Senate in 2014, the 6th might be the charm, but the harm that would come from it is where the problem is. And I can't believe that you all are that heartless, or that you don't recognize, and let me just follow on what Ms. Slaughter had to say. Not only is it true that 70% of coal ash impoundments are located in areas where household income is lower than the national median. It is also true as it pertains to the measure Mr. Tonko cited and all of us are mindful of. Even after the spill in Tennessee, all that coal ash sludge they cleaned up was disposed of within 100 feet of people's homes in a regular municipal waste landfill in Uniontown, Alabama, a town where about half of the residents are below the poverty level. That's just absurd. And you can't, look, I understand bumper sticker. I understand strategies, and Mr. Chairman, I recommend to you one of the dumbest things I've seen done around here is the way you've put forward, not you, Mr. Chairman, but your party. In roll call today, it cites to how you plan to go about the August recess. Wake up, America. Here it comes. Obama did it. Mr. Chairman, you need to understand something. This economy changed over a period of 60 years. It did not change overnight. I was here when Deng Xiaoping came here during Jimmy Carter's administration. And I was invited to the State Department where all these American business persons knew that China was getting ready to open up, and they were readying themselves to open it up. Now, we do ourselves a disservice even to other countries, and Mr. Rush is absolutely correct. People look to America for the EPA standards that we have managed to set. And that isn't just Barack Obama. That's other presidents before Barack Obama, including Lyndon Johnson 50 years ago. There's an ad that's running now that talks about how Lyndon Johnson 50 years ago said that we needed to have clean air. I lived in Los Angeles and woke up one morning and couldn't even open my eyes for the reason that the smog was so bad. I left my mother and father there. The following week, I told them I couldn't live in a community like that. I went to school in Nashville, Tennessee, and we had coal ash. Everybody burned coal in Nashville at that time. And I almost had to leave school because my lungs were filled with coal, and when I would blow my nose, it would come out black. Now, I don't know whether it will create any jobs. I don't know how many people we have to have suffer on a continuing basis, and I applaud my colleagues. I represent Florida. Argued vociferously against a recent proposal by Jesse Jackson about boycotting something. It won't help nothing in Florida with the backward legislature that we have. They got boycott till they're blue in the face. But the simple fact of the matter is I respect my colleagues. I know you come from Kentucky. I know you come from Illinois. And I know that those are places that it's important to you to have this kind of legislation. But if it were to become the law, I find it more than ironic that the people who argue about bureaucracy the most, Republicans, are creating more bureaucracy. And I don't know how many of you all have communicated with other agencies, but just imagine how long it will take, and you're concerned about EPA now, imagine how long it will take for EPA and the Energy Department to coordinate their activities. I don't care what administration, what bureaucracy. We come and we go, legislators do, but bureaucracies are really, really, really embedded in our society. And it will be amazing to me that you all do this. Now, I'm going to have a lot more to say tomorrow that's going to be a lot nastier, and I promise you that. But it is not done with disrespect nor recognizing parochial interests. And that's what we are here about, and that's not necessarily what's the best thing for us to do in this nation. I'm going to tell you once again, Mr. Chairman, this economy didn't change because of Obamacare. That hadn't been implemented yet. This economy didn't change because Barack Obama became President of the United States of America. This economy changed because international businesses and mega corporations determined that the economy would be changed and that we would go about a new normal where we are today. We ain't going to create no jobs here in this place. And you're dead wrong about investment. I didn't finish my statement to you yesterday when you talked about people, because of regulation, not wanting to invest in America. And my colleague is dead wrong when you think that it is that corporations want to hire more people. Well, then why is it they aren't hiring more people? Is it because of regulation, or is it because they're making more money, because they're more efficient, because they're using technology? This technology is real. There's going to be a future, and we aren't going to be a part of that future. Many of us will long since have been dead, but if we don't start educating our children and doing the things necessary for the infrastructure in this country and causing those business persons who hide their money overseas, who participate in activities in other countries that are creating super funds. I don't care whether it's a child in India that's dying, or a child in China, or a child in Africa. We're doing the same thing. I don't know how many of you have been to Nigeria, whether or not your Bobby and I were there, and if you were to just look at the Delta, it would scare you no end. I don't know how many of you have been to Germany and seen the Black Forest die because of the kinds of things that we are talking about. We owe a responsibility to this universe. We owe a responsibility to ourselves, and especially to our children and to the children of this entire earth. We can't continue down this path.